High, City High. And I played that song because not only was it a song I liked when I was younger, but it has a lot of validity to this topic that I'll be discussing today on brown skin privilege. And so, as you heard in this song, the lead singer, who was a woman, sang, "Anywhere I go, I'm spotted, and anything I want, I got it. 5'5" with brown eyes, smile like the sunrise." And in the background, a dude just like boosting her up like body like heaven, no front end, no guessing. And you get the point. And there are other songs that kind of like sexualize black women. You often hear phrases like, "Oh, my chocolate bar," or some crazy stuff like anything related to like sweetness or desserts or how someone's skin look. People call you that. And so for brown skinned people, especially like medium brown people, it's no different. For me, I want to talk about today like medium brown people, light brown people, kind of again on the lighter spectrum of brownness and brown skin privilege in general. I feel like brown skin privilege isn't often talked about. Some people do lump us together into light skin, and some people also get offended if a brown skin person who is lighter brown says that they're brown because they feel like that should be reserved for dark skinned black women. And I know a lot of people say all of these things are divisive, but at the same time, they exist. And it is how a lot of people identify. And so today I just want to talk about, what brown skin privilege is and how I've acknowledged it in my life and how I deal with it. And so basically, I read this article by Noya Laboratories, and it says brown skin is a term often used to define a certain category of skin tone. The term brown skin means that it looks naturally tan, and it is contrasted with pale skin that needs sunlight to look darker. It is moreover common to refer to brown skin with black and mixed race skin. Brown skin privilege is basically all the privileges that come from being that skin complexion. Again, I would like to acknowledge that I am a lighter brown person, and that's the perspective that I'll be speaking about today. Everybody probably didn't experience my experience, so I'm not talking for all brown skin people, but I do feel like a lot of brown skin people probably have experienced similar situations. And again, it's not something that's often talked about. And so the first time I really realized that I had brown skin privilege is when I was growing up, especially around darker skinned women. For instance, I had a cousin who was darker skinned, and she often would come home crying because someone would be criticizing her skin tone. And it made me very empathetic. Honestly, the way I was always raised to like love my culture, love being black, and I had black dolls with like kinky hair, etc. Like my grandparents were very proud. Being in Memphis, I felt very proud. But there was always this like colorism conversation. And when it came to being liked or desirable, the darker you were, often people wouldn't accept you. And so again, my cousin, she would often be very saddened by people talking about her skin tone. And my cousin to me was very beautiful. She was very confident and dynamic. And me, on the other hand, I was very awkward and shy. And even though I did feel I was beautiful, I saw that I was beautiful, especially because people told me all the time. I didn't feel as confident as she was confident. Again, people may have said I was strange, but they never talked about like I'm ugly because of my skin complexion. And that was, again, something I realized was a privilege. Even as I grew up, and I wasn't very interested in boys. I was interested in my studies when I was a teenager. But if my friend said she liked a guy, he would often say that he was interested in me instead. And it could be reasons outside of my skin color, but there were times that men would vocally say, "You're too black." And oftentimes it would be as dark as my friend. And there would be times that my friends would get upset and they would say, "Every guy likes you." It just made me realize a lot of times that I was considered a preference, especially over darker skinned black women. There were other times where I would like be out in the sun and my friends would like take out an umbrella, and I would like encourage them to not do that because I was very Afrocentric, and I liked the idea of, oh, the sun gives you vitamin D, whoop de whoop de woo. And they would often tell me, well, I don't need to get blacker. You can stand to get blacker, but I can't get blacker. And so as time went on, I just realized that colorism plays a huge part in how we see ourselves, and a lot of times how my friends felt. Maybe their anger was displaced, but that was just their experience and their defense mechanism. And I learned to like deal with it and when to like speak up and just when to listen. But again, being brown skinned, I was able, in a sense, to just exist. And I can also say that when it came to like white people, they would often tell me that I had like perfect skin. You know, sometimes I would say, well, what do you mean by that? And they say, well, you're not too light and you're not too dark. You're the perfect tan. You're just right. And I thought that was very problematic. But again, I think it's like this sense of people like want like golden skin color, like generally speaking. And when it comes to white people too, you know, sometimes when they tan, they don't get that color, they get usually red or it doesn't work out for them. And so me hearing white people say that too, I'm like, well, they also notice that there's various parts of skin tones or a range of blackness. A lot of times they will deny it. So anyways, from black and white people, but especially black people, I realized that I had privilege with my skin tone. When I look back growing up, I've realized that a lot of the love interests in movies and films, even though majority were light skin or ambiguous, if you were brown skin, you could like maneuver into it too. When I think of like rappers even today, or when I think of entertainers like Megan the Stallion or Young Miami, I think of them being brown skinned and how it kind of created a space for them. Because I do think majority of the rappers today are like lighter skinned mixed women. But Megan the Stallion and Young Miami, they were like in the middle. Not to say that they weren't talented, but I think that gives them some level of protection. There have been arguments that JT wouldn't have been successful without Young Miami's skin privilege or brown skin privilege. And I think there is some truth to that. Not to say that JT isn't talented because she writes her music, etc. But we've seen like equally or more talented dark skinned black women who don't get the amount of shine that she does or they do. And when you think of people like Megan Good and Jada Pinkett Smith, Halle Berry even, all of them were brown skinned. And again, you know, when you look at them, you know that they're black women, but they had, you know, brown skin privilege. I once had a conversation with my friend and I was like kind of upset because someone had said I was light skinned and I had light skin privilege. I was like maybe in my early 20s and I just didn't believe I was light skinned. I still don't believe I'm light skinned. But, anyways, I told my friend and she said, well, you know, you're not light skinned. You don't have light skin privilege, but you do have safe skin. And that phrase, it kind of blew my mind because I did know I was brown skinned, but I never understood the complexities of it. But when I started to like study and try to understand my position as a brown skinned woman, I did realize that I was pretty safe generally. Like I still faced a lot of the dynamics of what most black women face, but not at the level that a darker skinned black woman would. That, I guess, in its entirety is how I viewed brown skin privilege. I do like being brown skin. I feel like it's just a part of who I am. I know my skin can get lighter, it can get darker, but I just feel like it's a part of me being black in general. And though a lot of people do objectify me and say they like my features, I always just try to shine for my personality more so. I think again that's a part of my key point. And so I'll just read it again how I benefit from brown skin privilege. And so, number one, I'm not ridiculed for my skin tone generally amongst black people. Number two, I do have the benefit to be perceived as human and or feminine. Number three, I am viewed as a preference oftentimes. Number four, I am able to maneuver into spaces with ease because of my brown skin. So while this list may seem short, it is a bit significant as a black woman in my opinion. And that's pretty much all I have to say about this topic. Let me know if you agree or if you disagree, if you've ever heard of the term brown skin privilege or safe skin, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for listening to Books and Looks TV.